Hey pals, how you doing today? This is my buddy here.
Hi everyone.
Diane Hess. And I go back to
Long time.
since before we had kids and even knew they'd grow up and marry each other.
How funny is that?
I'm telling you what. And now she works here, and I couldn't be more happy because she is very creative and her teaching style is a lot like mine. Probably better.
I don't know about that.
I think so. I think you're going to like her really well. And the one thing I learned the older I get is how much I don't know and how much better it is to sometimes let somebody else step in and teach once in a while too. So Diane will be doing that along with Javi, who's back there. You want to say hi, Javi?
Hello.
Hello. She's back there. She did the last video. And even Lauren sometimes will be in here. So we're going to work as a team. Today you got Diane, and she is going to discuss with you some really blingy, glitzy, cool things that she has done with Ceralun and glass stones, and you are going to love it. So right now, at this point, hasta la vista, baby, I'm out of here. She's taking over. I might make a little quip once in a while, you hear me, but I will not be here anymore. I'm over there drinking iced tea, watching her do it. All right, guys, come on over here, and she will show you how it's done.
All right, let's get started. Okay, guys, so today we're going to be taking a look at how to use mica powders with Ceralun. And this is the bracelet that I made. And so we're going to take a look at this. This was made with white Ceralun. And so I wanted to show you guys today how you can take white Ceralun and make it any color you like. So I have a bracelet ready to go, an empty one. I already mixed my Ceralun. And if you're looking for an explanation in how to use the Ceralun, how to mix it, and all those fun things, Brenda has another video on YouTube that Javi will link below, so you can check that out. But I've already mixed mine, so we're ready to go. So all you need to do is place it in your bezel and start patting it out. And then you'll kind of get an idea, is that too big or too small? I think I have a little bit too much. So you can just take a little bit off, use it for something else. Okay, so I'm just going to pat this in, trying to get it all around to the edge of the bezel. You want to make sure you have just enough, it's thick enough so that the chatons will go in all the way up to the girdle of the stone, and I'll talk about that in a minute. I'll show you that in a minute when I grab one of the chatons. But see how easy that is? Boom, 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 and it's in. Just like that. Now, I should have taken my rings off, because when you're working with Ceralun, you don't want to be wearing jewelry. Little tip, because if it gets on there and you don't notice it, it's going to harden right to that metal, and you're not going to get it off. So we'll take that off. Okay, so I've got that all patted in there. I want to make sure that it's even, so I'll check it from the side and make sure it's an even depth on all sides. Okay, that looks pretty good. Now,
Hey Diane, I got a question for you.
Sure, Brenda.
Should they have some gloves on, or instead of gloves or something they do that, or did you do that already and I missed it?
Okay, that's a great question, Brenda. So let me show you. I had this on, the Instead of Gloves Skin Shield.
Put it on ahead of time.
I put that on ahead of time when I mixed the Ceralun up, because Ceralun comes in two parts. You mix them together, and that's when it activates. So I wore this while I was mixing that up. But just to press that in a little bit, Swarovski says it's okay just for that minute when you're pressing it in, that you don't need to have your gloves on.
Okay. I just thought we should make that clear since they didn't see you put it on.
Sure.
You know.
Okay, so now we've got this pressed in. Now here's a little tip. When you're making a bracelet like this or a piece like this, whatever your piece is, and you're encrusting it really good and tight with the stones, and then you're covering it with mica powder, you're not going to really notice much in the way of fingerprints. But if you're leaving any space, like I did on this piece here, you'll see that the stones aren't as tightly together, and you can see the surface of the Ceralun through. You don't want to see fingerprints in there. So how do we get those out now that we've patted that in there with our finger? Here's a little tip. You can touch your finger in a little bit of water, tap off the excess, you don't want too much, and then just smooth the surface real gently with your finger, and that'll smooth it out and remove any fingerprints. And then you're all smooth and good to go. Now we'll do one last double check, and then of course you want to let that dry for just a second. I'm going to blow on it. Okay? Because you don't want to try to stick your chatons in there while it's still a little damp. You don't want anything to get in the way of that connection between your chaton and the Ceralun. So we'll let that get a little bit dry. I've already picked out some chatons here. I'm going to be using some turquoise and blue. We've got a little bit of blue perfect pearls that we're going to use for that. I'm going to slide this out of the way and we'll get started. So I'm using the Pick Me Up tool, and this is a really great tool to use to pick up your chatons and place them in the Ceralun without getting any more fingerprints in there. It's got a little sticky stuff on the end here, and you can just go in and tap your chaton. Let me hold the thing, and it'll just pick it up just like that. So you want to pick it up on the top side where the color is and have the pointed end down, and you're going to stick it, just poke it right into your Ceralun just like that. Now your Pick Me Up tool also has a nifty little tool on the other end that you can pull out if you need to. Come on. Now it doesn't want to come out. There we go. And it has a pointed end on one end and then a flathead side on the other. And you can use that if you need to push that down just a little bit more, because you want to get it in. Can we see that, Javi? Mm-hmm. You want to get it in just enough so the table of the stone is the only thing that's sticking out. I'll do one more and I'll leave one if it's sticking out a little bit too much, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
Diane, could you explain to them too what the table and girdle of the stone is, because they may not know those terms.
Sure. The table is the top part here where your color is, and then the girdle is that line that separates it all around where the color and the back of the stone meet, where the foil and then the color meet, that line around the top. And you want to push your stone in. I'll do one more and I'll hold it up so that you can see. Okay, can you see that, Javi? Can you see how that? Okay, so this one you can see is sticking up a little higher than the other one, and if you look from the side you can actually see that there's foil showing. You don't want that. You want to tap that down and make sure that it gets all of that bottom part where the foil is all the way into the Ceralun, just like that. Now when I'm doing this, I like to just kind of do this randomly. I don't have any kind of specific design in mind when I'm doing it. I think it kind of looks pretty when it's a random.
Everything we do here is random.
It's more fun, right?
Yeah.
And I have some different sizes. I have some little bitty teeny ones. Let's try one of those. Oops, where'd it go? Those little ones are hard. They want to run away. I'll stick one of those in there. Come on. It wants to fight. That's sometimes when you can get this other little pointed tool, and it'll help you get it to unstick. There we go. There it is. It's right in there. Okay, so I'm going to keep doing this, and while I'm doing this, I'm going to share a little story with you. I had mentioned on another video that I would share with the viewers how I got my love of all things bling. And this is a love of jewelry that I got from my grandmother, who I loved very much. And I used to spend a lot of time with her when I was a little girl. And she, on occasion, when I was, about 5 or 6, would let me get into her jewelry box and look at the things, pretty things that she had in there. And I'm going to show you one of the pieces. This was my grandmother's strawberry brooch. And this is made, I noticed on the back the other day, it's marked by the company Pell, right there.
That year there in Rhode Island, I met the people from Pell.
Did you?
I did. We went to the convention back in 2001. the guy from Pell was there, and he made the brooches for the BFCJ people that we hear. So that's an old company.
Mm-hmm.
Goes way back.
Yeah, well, I'm talking, oh goodness, 45, 50 years
Oh,
ago
yeah.
that I would look at this,
Yeah.
and my grandmother would let me put it in my hands, and I would carry it over to the light, the lamp in the bedroom, and I would turn it and move it and watch those stones sparkle. And I was mesmerized by this pin, and she promised me that one day when I got old enough to take good care of it, she would give it to me.
Aww.
And I've had it ever since, and I love it so much. And that's what made me start my love affair with all things bling.
And notice she did not make that into some other jewelry.
No, I did not. I kept it just the way that it is.
Because it's valuable. Not just for memories, but that it has some value. So.
Yeah, but the sentimental qualities take over. I can't ever part with that.
Some people would take that and make it into a necklace or something. You could do that responsibly.
Yeah,
and not
sure.
break it up. But anyway, it's just a side point. I have to throw that in there.
Sure.
I have to always throw those little responsible repurposing barbs in whenever I can.
But those are good things to know, because you don't want to pull something apart and then find out later, oh, I shouldn't have done that. That was a valuable piece.
$300.
Right? Ooh, my mistake. Okay, so I'm just going to keep placing the chatons until I feel like I have enough in there. But see, they're just kind of going in a random pattern, and I'm making sure that each one is down just enough into the Ceralun. Let me get another one of these smaller ones.
Yeah, the guy from Pell made tiaras.
Oh, did
He
he?
brought tiaras that year, and I bought one for Shelley because she thought they were so cool.
Aw.
And it looked so great on her.
You know, I did a little research on them when I realized that there was a mark on the back of that pin, and I found out that that company was started by a couple of brothers, 2 or 3 brothers, with the last name Gaita. Gaita.
Gaita, G-A...
G-A-I-T-A.
Huh.
Yeah.
I did not know that.
I looked it up online because I was curious.
That's not an Italian name.
No. Well, when I saw like I said, I saw the marking on the back, and I thought, oh, I need to find out a little bit more about this. And so I did. But to me, it'll always be special because it was my grandmother's. Okay,
Yeah.
so we're getting close to being done here, so we'll just stick a few more in. And you can do these any way you want. You can start with one in the center and make concentric circles if that's the way you like. On this one here, I did each one slightly different. I had a few pear-shaped stones that I got in a mix, a chaton mix that Brenda had at one time. And so on some of them I put it here, then I would move it here, move it over here, just so each one looked slightly different to add a little bit of interest. So you can do it any way you want. We'll just throw a couple more in there, and then I'll be ready to show you about how to get those perfect pearls on there. I like to kind of look around the edges too and make sure that things look even and there's not a space that looks empty or lonely. Sometimes I'll pick them up on my finger like that and then touch the tool to it just to get it, because these little tiny ones want to give you a hard time. That one went in pretty good. Oops. They try to run away. But I just love this. I think, to me, this is relaxing. I actually find this very relaxing. One more right here.
And the more you do this, guys, you'll pick speed up too. You know, if you're thinking about, oh, you know, I'd like to make those and sell them, you do have to keep track of, you know, how much time does it take you to make a piece. Now, this piece will still be practical, even though it took her a few hours to make it.
Sure.
But I'm just saying, you know, it does, you do pick up in speed as you go along.
So here's the difference. Now, you could leave that white if you liked the look in the white and it looks pretty. But I wanted something that was really blue. I love cobalt blue. So I'm going to show you how you can do this really quickly. You're going to want to take a brush. I have a paintbrush here, but notice the end there is really fluffy. You don't want a stiff, dense brush because then you're going to put marks in your Ceralun because it's still soft and tacky, and you don't want to disrupt what you've just done. So you want to make sure you have a really soft and fluffy brush. I have also used old makeup brushes that are real soft and fluffy. And then all you're going to do is dip it in your perfect pearls and then start dabbing it all around what you just did. Now I know this looks like a big old mess, right? But this is what you want to do. You want to get it from all sides. Cover it really good. Okay, see what I'm doing? You can see that looks, you can't even hardly see the stones anymore. But just keep dabbing away till you make sure all the weight is covered.
But Diane, you're not using the Perfect Pearls medium, so how's that going to stick on there?
Okay, so now guys, this is the greatest thing about Ceralun. You don't have to glue it down. You don't, when you put it in your metal, it just sticks as it dries. Same thing with this powder. That's why we put it on when the Ceralun is still soft and tacky. As soon as you get those stones where you want them, you put that Perfect Pearls on there, and it hardens into the Ceralun as the Ceralun dries. It's one of the greatest things ever. So you can turn white Ceralun into any color you want. Now this one, as we look at it, that doesn't look so great because right now it's all over the stones and they're looking a little dull. But what you have to do, this is the trick and this is the hard part, the weighting. So now you want to leave that alone. You want to set it aside somewhere where it's not, oops, can't see it there, but just set it aside somewhere where it's not going to get disrupted, where no one's going to bump into it or try to move it. Leave it alone, and you want to leave it for a good 24 hours. Okay? And then I will show you how you clean it up. So you leave that sit, let that color harden into the Ceralun, and then what you're going to do, here's one I did the other day, and I left it alone just so I could show you. Now some of it has come off, you can see the stones, but I don't know if you can see how. Can you see? Here's the one I did it in yellow, and on the edges of the metal, I don't know if you can see that or not, but it's covered in powder.
So when it dries, then the color just comes up all vibrant like that.
The color just comes up. Now what I need is my water here. I'm going to take a Q-tip and dab it in some water, or you could use rubbing alcohol or acetone. Any one of those three things will do this job for you, and you're just going to take your Q-tip and you're going to rub it over the top. And look, all of a sudden the sparkle that's coming out of those stones. Can you see that there? And then you want to take it and run it around the edge. Okay, I don't know if you can see that on camera, but there's part of the metal that looks yellow. Can you see that?
The only thing is if you use rubbing alcohol or acetone, check it on your metal first because some plating finishes may not be able to take that.
Yeah. I typically use water. I mean, it works just as well. You just have to...
I'd go with water.
Yeah. But look at that. That comes up so beautifully.
It's gorgeous. I love that yellow.
Yeah, the yellow, I think the yellow turned out pretty. But yeah, that's all it takes is a little water. But the color only comes off where there was no Ceralun. It comes off the metal and it comes off the top of the stones. But that color is embedded in that Ceralun and it's not moving.
Awesome.
Now I'll take a little water just to show you because this is our experiment one and I don't want to touch the Ceralun. But I'll show you, once this has dried, it looks dull right now, but I'll just run this across the top of the stones. But you can see how the color of the stone is going to pop right back out.
Awesome.
So I'll show you a couple other pieces that I made with different colors. So this one I showed a little bit earlier. This one I did in a lavender shade with some AB crystals, and I put a butterfly in it.
Beautiful.
So it doesn't have to be just crystals. You can use little pieces of metal. You can use little glass beads, whatever you have that you think would look pretty. This one I did in a soft shimmery pink.
There are little bits of the Bisou by 1928 pewter line that a lot of the girls over at the creative group like to embed to make like a little scenic. thing, you know, with a little bit of crystals and some stuff and doing some. I know Jan Tag likes to do the one with the mermaid coming up
so
out of the
pretty.
seaweed.
So pretty.
And we have all those parts in Bisou 1928.
So wouldn't that be cool to use white Ceralun as the background there and color it blue, and then she looks like she's sitting in the water?
Yeah.
Now here's a piece, a different little piece that I did, and I used a brass flower. It's a hibiscus flower that is on the Bisou website, and I covered the entire thing in white Ceralun, and then I colored it yellow. I put the stones in there and I colored it yellow. This would make a cute brooch. You could put this in any kind of an assemblage piece.
Yeah, could you imagine making up a few of those for your big focals and then doing some fill with that and doing an assemblage? You guys would knock it out of the park. So many of you have become very good assemblage artists. I hope you'll try that. You don't have to put Ceralun only in a bezel.
No, you don't. Yeah, I spread it to the edges here and just kind of rolled it as I came to the edge and then smoothed it off on the back. The back looks a little bit messy. That was my first attempt. But if you're putting this on an assemblage piece or as a pin, you're really not going to see that.
First attempt, that looks pretty good.
Thanks. But I would note one thing, guys. If you're going to do this, just be careful, because when the petals are so close together, it's a little hard to get in there and roll the edges. But you can do it with a toothpick. I found a toothpick works pretty good to just get in there and kind of smooth the edges. And then again, you can take the water, smooth your Ceralun down, put your stones in, and there you go.
Sometimes with the brass petals, you can manipulate them a little bit too. You can lift them up. So that would help you too.
I have one last little tip I want to share with you guys. We have our little chatons here, and you notice they have gold foil on the back. If you ever run across some stones that you've had kicking around for a while and a little bit of the gold is missing, and when you turn it over you can see that spot through the stone, here's a little trick I learned from looking at one of Katie Oskin's videos. You can take a gold or silver Sharpie, whatever color the foil is on the back, and you can fill in that spot that's missing foil.
It'll work to refoil it.
It works. You let that Sharpie dry, flip it over, pop it in your Ceralun, you'll never know the difference.
I have found different paints and stuff over the years, but I know when I was back doing vintage, that was like the big plague. Oh, how can we refoil a stone? And here it's just as simple as a Sharpie.
Sharpie, a gold Sharpie.
Wow.
Now, once you do it, guys, once you do it, what I did was I set the, let me find one, the stone on a flat surface, turned it upside down, and I just dabbed at it like this. I didn't want to touch the stone. I just dabbed at the spot that was missing the foil, and then I didn't touch it. I let it dry. Try not to touch it on the back too much, because that might lift off on your finger, but if you can just grab it with your pick-me-up, flip it over, and stick it in, you'll never know the difference.
Awesome tip, yay. Boy, I'll tell you what, that made it worth listening.
Guys, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you try it out. If you have any questions, please leave them under the video, and I will try to answer as many as I possibly can. Have a great day, and we'll see you another time.
Good job, Diane. Let's all clap. Yay.
Bye, guys.